Oh, hi. Today I want to show you how to create an A4 fact sheet in Photoshop. And before I start designing fact sheets, I might go to Google and look for some sort of inspiration just by looking at existing fact sheets. Now, today's fact sheet is all about elephants. So what I might do is go to, again, Google Images, and I will look for well, in this case, 3 photographs that are pretty big. In fact, the largest size I could find. And I would save these to my desktop in preparation for my design. Now, I've already done that, so let's go and have a look at the photos first. So there's my 3 photos, and you can see they're pretty big in size. This one's 4.1 megs, that one's 3.9, and that one's 4.8. So they're decent sized photos. Alright, so let's go into Photoshop and let's start. It's an A4 fact sheet I want to design, so I'll go to New, and just to save time I'll just go to International Paper under Preset. There it is, A4, and click OK. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is create a new layer, and I might just name this Image Grid. What's going to happen with this layer is at the very top of my page I want to place my 3 photos of the elephants. Now I want to show you a technique that is going to save a lot of time. It's called Paste Into, and it basically goes like this. I use my marquee tool and I draw a panel about so big using the marquee tool, and then I might just choose a neutral color like that, and using the keyboard shortcut Option and the Delete key together, I can fill that panel with the color. And then very cleverly I'm going to hold down the Command, Option and the Shift key, and this enables me to grab that selected color and drag it across, just a little bit across, and I won't worry about leaving a gap. I'll just stop it about there, and before I deselect it I want to go and choose another color, another neutral color, and again Option Delete. So now I've got my second panel, and once again while it's selected, Command, Option, Shift and drag, and don't worry if it doesn't make it all the way across. I'm going to show you a nice little trick. So just leave it about there, and now my third color, let's go for something bluish, and Option Delete, and now I've got my 3 colors, and this is where I can deselect it, Command D. Now you can see quite obviously that it doesn't span the width of the page, so here is where I go Command T, which stands for transform, and I can stretch it out, and I know that that is now quite equal in terms of its each box is about the same size roughly. So there's layer 1, Image Grid. Now this is where the magic starts. Let me just bring that further down the page a little bit. I'm just going to move it down to about there, and what I want to do now is demonstrate Paste Into. Now the way this works quite simply is you take the magic wand and you click on the first color, the first panel. Then you open up one of the photographs that you saved earlier on your desktop. So into my elephant fact sheet, and I'll just choose one of the photos and click on Open. It's a bit slow. Alright, so there's my first photo. I'm going to open that up, select it, Command A, select all, Command C, which is copy. I can close that now, and at this point I want to go to Edit, and I don't want to choose Paste. I want to go one down to Paste Special, and it's this one here, Paste Into. And see the keyboard shortcut? That's Option, Shift, Command V. But if you don't want to do that, you just choose it from the menu, and bang, into the first panel goes my picture. and it's actually pasted it into the panel. I can now click on the move tool and I can do a number of things. I can move it as I want, and in fact before I start moving things I might just go to view and switch off snap. I don't want the snap on because then when I move it it's more fluid, it's a lot smoother. Now the other thing I can do is I can go Command T. You can see how big the photo actually is, and with the Shift key pressed down I can shift drag to resize the photo. So I'll just position it as I want it. Now of course you don't want to do that because that's the edge of the photo, so you just want to position, and you can even rotate it, which is great. And when you're happy with the new position, you press return on your keyboard. Now that's the first photo. Go back to your image grid layer and magic wand the second panel, and you guessed it, open up the second photo and do the same thing. Once it's open, select all, copy, close the photo, and then of course paste into. And once again you might have to go Command T to resize it to fit. Shift drag, okay, shift drag, nice cute little elephant there. Yeah, I might just do that. Not being too fussy about the type of photos that I'm using. This is just a quick sample. And then of course back to the image grid layer. Once again, magic wand the third and final panel. Open up the third and final photo and select all, copy, and of course edit, paste into. And then you've got your 3 photo grid. Very, very simple way of creating an image grid on your page, on your fact sheet. The advantage of a grid, of course, is if you don't like any one of these photos, you can just simply either hide the grid or delete the layer. Sorry, hide the layer or delete the layer. So that's quite a nice effect. In fact, what I'd sometimes do, if I find that there's too much color, I might select the middle photo, and I might open up Hue and Saturation, which is Command U. And just to show you, if I click on Colorize, this little box here, I can actually change the color of one of the photos, bring down the saturation a little bit, click OK, and then you've got a little bit of variety or contrast between the color photos and of course the one in the middle. So that's my color grid complete. At this point I might actually select all the layers that make up my image grid, and I'll go to this little pop-up menu here and choose New Group from Layers, and I might just call this Images. Alright, so that's tidied up my layer palette, and this is where I start to use the Type tool, this one here, to add text. Now you could, if you want, select the color beforehand, before you start typing, or you can do it after the fact, and you can also change the font before you start typing, if you know roughly what font you want. Let's just choose Gilsan. Where's Gilsan? I use Gilsan quite a lot actually, and Helvetica of course. Quite famous fonts they are. And I might choose Gilsan's Bold for my heading. Now when you just want to type a few words or a single word, it's easier just to take your Type tool and click at the top of the page and type in the word. And in this case it's elephant. Now of course it's quite small because if you look at the top here, the font was 12 point before I started typing. But that doesn't bother me because if I go straight now to the Move tool, okay, you can see I've got my elephant type layer. With the Move tool, I can now go Command T, which stands for transform, Shift and drag, and I can resize that font. And I might even place it somewhere like, oh, even there's okay, but let's just say there. It's all in lowercase, and I can just reposition it and press the return key when I'm happy with where it is. And that's essentially just typing in a heading. If you go back to the type tool, of course, it'll bring up the information bar near the top of the screen, and this little panel here is your character palette or character window. You can also access it from the window menu, and it looks something like this. So if you bring up character, you can do a number of things with the layer, for your type layer for your heading. For instance, if you don't like the space between each letter, you can reduce it. This is called kerning. You can type in a number, or you can do it this way. You can expand it, have it all the way out. Minus 50 seems pretty good. You can change the color as well. What I sometimes do with my heading color, I might use the eyedropper, and I might simply sample a color from one of the photos, whether it's a blue or whether it's this elephant grey. And then, of course, if I sample one of these colors with my eyedropper, I can then simply go Option Delete on my keyboard, and that's the new color. I'll do that again. Let's sample this color here. Option Delete. Actually, sorry. Was that Option Delete? Yeah, Option Delete. Sample that color. Option Delete. And then you basically choose the color that you think complements the fact sheet. And quite often I sample colors from images on the page already. So that's the easy part. That's just clicking the type tool and typing a word and then using transform to enlarge it. This is when it gets a little bit more complicated. For instance, I now want to add a column of text. Now it's amazing, Photoshop, even after 25 years, still hasn't got a spell checker. So you might want to type the text in Microsoft Word and then copy and paste it into Photoshop. But just for today's example, I'm just going to take my type tool. Now instead of just clicking and typing, watch this. I'm going to press and drag to draw a text box. Now when I let go, you can see up in the layer palette, I've got my text box waiting. My cursor is also blinking, ready for me to start typing. I'll just move this out of the way so we can see what's going on. So there's the cursor blinking, and I'll just type in some quick facts about elephants, and I might just make this up. So off I go. This is called gobbledygook, and hitting the spacebar every so often. So that's taking quite a long time. So in fact, let me just jump out and I'll go to the internet quickly, and I'll just find a block of text. Okay, Wikipedia. Alright, here we go. Wikipedia coming up. Quick facts. Bit slow. Oh, it's got too many hyperlinks, hasn't it? Geez, oh, look, never mind. Let's just select a slab of text, copy, go back to Photoshop, and I'll just stick it in there. Alright, good. So, pretending that I've got all my text, I can now, with my character window open, go back to the move tool, of course, and then I can change the font. And you don't want bold, of course, you want maybe regular or light. And once again, you can change the kerning, you can change the size. Now, recommended text size for a column of text is anywhere between 9 points or 11, even 12. I wouldn't go bigger than 12, otherwise it looks a little bit childish. So anywhere between 9 and 11 points is recommended. I can go to paragraph and add a bit of spacing. I can change the alignment, justified. I mean, there's really two main alignments that you would use in a fact sheet. Maybe it's justified or range alignment left, or ragged right it's sometimes called, range left. So that's the text box. And that's a block of text. Like I said, there's no spell check in Photoshop, so you'll have to make sure that you get it all right. Now if I decide that I don't like the width of the column, I can simply go back to the type tool and click anywhere in this block of text, and the text handles appear for the text box, and then I can make an adjustment. If I start doing that, you can see the text bounces around and adjusts itself to fit the new size. And what I'm trying to do is make it line up to the left hand side. Well, actually, sorry, that borderline with the photo. Now, on this part of the page here, I can type in another text box and just put some fancy facts about elephants if I wanted to. What some people do as well, if they want to sort of dress it up a little bit, they can place a box of color underneath the text for effect. Like for instance, there's a tool in Photoshop which is basically this tool here, the rectangular tool, or the rounded rectangular tool, ellipse tool. If you just stick with the rectangular tool, what you can do is, again, you can choose the color beforehand, or you can just simply draw a box, and when you let go, it's filled with the color that you specify. Now, I'll just close that, I don't want that. Now obviously the layer is sitting on top of my text layer, so if I just drag that down there and change my text color to say white, it now sits on top of that panel. Now some people don't mind having a bit of text panel. It might be overkill, you might not need it, but again, that's one simple effect that you could employ. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's a quick, easy way of creating a fact sheet in Photoshop. So I'll stop there. I don't want this to become a long video tutorial, so I hope you like that. And that's it. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time round. I'll just close some of these tabs, and I'll bring up my recording software and click on Finish. Goodbye.